Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Scrimshaw Show. My name is Evan Scrimshaw. Nathaniel Arfin's here. Haven't talked to him in a while. Arfin, buddy, how you doing?
I am recovering from Christmas.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So it was a good time. It was a good Christmas, but ready for what's next.
Is what's next? I was going to do a bit. I genuinely don't know who the Eagles play this week. I genuinely do not remember who they play this week.
Oh, we get the thrilling matchup of Kenny.
Oh yeah, you play Cooper and the Jets or
Yes.
Cowboys
With no CD Lamb. He's been shut down for the season. So, this is going to be like, and we're not even sure if Kenny Pickett's going to play at this point. That's like, I'm guessing he's going to play just based on the reports. But the Eagles did just sign Ian Book to the practice squad. If you want to know.
Notre Dame legend Ian Book. Put some respect on that man's name.
Man,
Didn't he get them to the playoffs one year?
Ian Book? In college.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Okay. Yes, I think so.
Honestly, all those Notre Dame failures just kind of like bleed into one another. Yeah, you guys play sorry. So yeah, we think it's Kenny Pickett. Hurts still wasn't practicing today with the full squad. He looked actually pretty fine. Frankly, if Devonta Smith doesn't have Butterfingers, he would have beaten Washington.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of drops on those like last couple drives.
There were a lot of drops, and really it just looked like the defense checked out early in the game. I'm not sure what happened.
I think you guys thought you could win this and basically just run a modified prevent, and then you couldn't lock back in.
Yeah, but with the with the Lions basically sealing up the 1 seed, it really didn't matter that much to take a loss there.
The winner of the NFC North. That's not necessarily the Lions, but yes. We'll do. We're definitely having you on for like a whole playoff. Honestly, we'll probably just do a very short Week 18 pick show because realistically, how many of these games are actually going to be like important? Like, how many games are we going to knowably know anything about? On like a Wednesday or Thursday, we're recording this Christmas Boxing Day evening, but like we'll probably mostly just do like playoff scenarios and like some playoff odds and stuff. We did a mid-season recap; it'll be something closer to that. I think we're going to start with what I think is like pretty inarguably the game of the week, right? My Green Bay Packers against the Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, yeah, of course. This is one of the few games with not only playoff implications but division implications. This is really the game where seeding is coming into play. It's easily the game of the week just because these two teams have been and continue to be so evenly matched, even though they haven't played in a while.
So here's the question. I'm pulling up the playoff machine. I probably should have done this before. I'm picking Green Bay. I think Darnold. Packers have the better coach and they have the better quarterback. The Vikings defense is like good. I'm not saying it's not. I just don't know that the Vikings are in a position. I just do not know if Minnesota is in a position to actualize what they're doing. Yeah, the Packers are on a short week, but frankly, that game was not, physically demanding in any meaningful sense. I just really think Green Bay are the third best team in the NFC. And I think Minnesota's 4, right? But like, I think Minnesota is still a little bit a house of cards. I think, Kevin O'Connell was doing a great job there, but like, this one feels pretty obvious to me. Packers, easy.
I think this really comes down to what I was saying earlier.
Sorry. Green Bay does need to win this game because if they go 2-0 the next 2 weeks and Detroit beats Minnesota in week 18? Green Bay wins Green Bay gets the 5 seed. So it does matter for Green Bay.
One of the big things that I've been saying about Minnesota all year is that they use their linebackers a lot in coverage. They have a very, very athletic defense, but when it gets down to the end of the year, these guys start to slow down. The defenses start to get a bit exposed, and I think we've seen that. I mean, the Seahawks, as we're recording this, have scored 3 points against the Chicago Bears. Last week, they scored 24 points, the Seahawks did, against the Vikings. The defense hasn't been as spectacular as they're going to need to be down the stretch. And they're getting a point at home. This is really tough. This is one of those games where it comes down to who shows up, who executes. I could see it going either way.
Oh yeah, great. Love the confident thing. You honestly just did your like Drew Brees impression from last night on the NFL Netflix coverage. Also, I will say very cool that all the networks were just like, yeah, we're just gonna like let you build like basically mega panels and mega crews out of our people, because like Mina Kimes is ESPN.
Well, one of the big things
Griffin, I think, is Fox. You know, like I like that they did that. I like that they played around with it.
Doing more is participating in these joint ventures. I mean, it builds the game. Not that football needs to do it, but this is something that quick aside from our picks here. But Roger Goodell has done a very good job of growing the game, even though football is the dominant sport. They just keep on doing everything they can to get on everyone's TV as often as possible.
No, that's very fair. And I mean, honestly, Robert, like the problem is that I just hate listening to ex players talk about football because they all fucking suck at it. I assume, given your wishy-washy answers, that you're not taking that you are not taking the Packers.
Yeah, I'm. It's tough with the number of games here, but
well, we got three Saturdays. If you want to take one of those, but yeah, make your first pick.
I am going to go for my first pick. The Titans +1. This is one of those games where both teams are super garbage. Both teams have nothing to play for, except for the coach. And Doug Peterson's on his way out. I think we can all. He should have been fired weeks ago. But the Titans still have a little bit of. I don't really want to say not hope, but they have some honor to play for here.
I mean, they fell down like 30 points to the Colts the week after their coach gave a stirring soliloquy about how there's no give up in those boys. So I'm not sure how much honor they actually have.
This is going to be a sloppy game, but I really do think that Tennessee can take the win against this hapless Jaguars game. If you're looking.
The case for it, and I have no interest in betting this game, is Mason Rudolph is probably a better quarterback than Fat Mac Jones. But like that is some real, damning with faint praise nonsense. Broncos 3.5. I like Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is like top 5 quarterback in the league, but Bo Nix is going to destroy that Cincinnati defense. I'm getting the hook. It's slightly a cheap hook in that it's +3.5 minus 120. But if you open DK right now, that is the price. That is the number that pops up, like that. You're not having to do an alt spread. You're not having to alt anything. And frankly, I don't see what Cincinnati has done other than have Joe Cool to justify being a 3.5 point favorite against a playoff team.
The Broncos looked really good last week against the Chargers.
Before Sean Payton decided to be a fucking bitch and just completely give up on the life in the second half. Yeah.
Yeah. And
that was a fireable coaching performance.
I mean, he should never have had the job in the first place, but
Yeah, of course.
Different conversation. Broncos again, if they've continued to look good against not good teams, and while the Bengals are a good team, they did just look good against the Chargers. 3.5 points, I think they should be able to cover. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals pulled this off on the money line. But yeah, I'm with you on the Broncos here.
It's too many points. I don't know what the Bengals have done to deserve a 3.5 point rating. Again, Joe Burrow, better quarterback is definitely part of it, but like Bo Nix, I feel like a lot of people locked in the idea that Bo Nix was a bad draft pick, and I think you can argue that he was a bad draft pick in the sense that he's probably not going to get significantly better than he is now, right? He's like 25, he played like 5 or 6 seasons in college, right? Like that's all true. In terms of NFL projection, in terms of projecting 3 years out, I'd rather Caleb Williams, who has objectively had a worse season than Bo Nix, right? I'd rather Drake May, who, hasn't necessarily proven as much in terms of sort of sustained success. Because I'm pretty sure Bo Nix is going to have his curve is going to flatten pretty damn soon. Right, I don't think he gets a lot better than this, but I think people are conflating that point with Bo Nix isn't good as a current quarterback right now. Yeah, he's better. Like again, right now he's probably a better quarterback than Caleb Williams.
He's reminiscent.
He won't be next year, but I don't give a shit about next year if I'm trying to win a game today or win a bet today.
Yes, it's Brandon Weeden. So he's reminiscent of Brandon Weeden, where he has that. He comes in, he's an older quarterback. I mean, he's only 24, but he's still, he's an older quarterback. He doesn't have the exponential growth curve that some of these younger guys are going to have.
Also, plenty of the guys with that growth curve fucking suck. Trey Lance, step on down.
Absolutely. I mean, you take a safer guy. I would have liked to see Bo Nix somewhere like San Francisco in hindsight, but he's still definitely the better quarterback in this game right now.
Sorry, you think Bo Nix
is not the better quarterback. I think he has the better stuff, enough stuff to win this game right now. He is not the better quarterback in the game. I apologize.
No, I know what you meant, but I didn't want people to get mad at you. Make your next call, buddy.
The Rams getting 6.5 against the Cardinals. I'm going to take the Rams here. Giving 6.5. The Cardinals have limped to the end of this season. They are barely making it through. They beat the Patriots, but other than that, they lost to the Panthers. They lost to the Seahawks, lost to the Vikings, lost to the Seahawks again. This team, it looked like they might have an opportunity to have a good season earlier on, but they are ending it in terrible fashion. And the Rams are doing the opposite. They have been somewhat surging lately. And after taking, they beat the Bills, they beat the Niners, a weak win against the Jets, but 6.5 at home. I'm happy to take them here.
I might tail you on this. I don't know if I'm going to, though, mostly because I don't know if I have 6 games I like more. I think that's the right side. I'm surprised this number isn't 7 because I honestly thought it might be, just given the fact that they lost outright to Carolina last week. But then again, I don't know. People are doing the maybe Bryce Young is actually good take this week, so I don't know.
I feel like we're back and forth with that every week.
It feels like what we actually need to do is not overestimate the growth from beating up on mediocre teams. He beat the Giants, the Saints, nearly took the Buccaneers to the line. Beat the Cardinals. Well, none of those were playoff games, right? Are any, the Bucs might be a playoff team. We'll see. But the Bucs just lost to Cooper Rush. I don't think anybody's saying, Cooper Rush is actually any good. I don't know. It's possible it's on my board. Here's the thing. I just don't think that team's very good. And I think I'm just stuck in I'm just stuck with that assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know what to do with it. Detroit -3 against the Niners. The Niners suck. The Niners just lost to a Miami team that I also think sucks. They're not any good. Purdy is losing tens of millions of dollars a week. With how badly he's playing. The offensive line's terrible. I don't think Trent Williams is healthy, right?
No,
this looks like
he's done.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was a down tag or an out. But he doesn't look, that line is a mess. Yes, I'm aware that Detroit has 1,000 injuries. I get it. I think that might be a problem in week 18. I don't think it's a problem this week. And here's the thing, right? I think this line is short in part because, Dan Campbell might, pull the plug early, or he might rest guys, or he might not play shit. One, Ben Johnson was basically out here stunting in a job interview against the Bears last week. Did you see the fake stumble touchdown?
I didn't. I'll have to watch that. That's wow.
Yeah, no, Ben Johnson. So last year, it would have been last year. He's only been our starter for 2 years. But last year against the Bears, Jordan Love actually fumbled the ball, picked it up, and then fumbled the snap, picked it up, and got the Bears on a thing. So they coordinated a quote unquote fake stumble and ran it for a touchdown when they're already up 13 points. Okay. Ben Johnson, this team is constitutionally incapable of running a quote unquote simple playbook, or to hide anything. They're going to want to win this game. They're going to want to go into the playoffs on a high.
Yeah, there's no chance they rest them this week. If they're resting their players,
Campbell already fucking said, and Campbell's already said as much. We've seen Campbell, Campbell didn't rest anybody 2 years ago in week 18 against the Packers on Sunday Night Football when they had been eliminated by Seattle winning the game earlier that day. Dave Campbell's never going to let these guys rest. Ben Johnson isn't going to run a quote-unquote vanilla offense. And frankly, I don't really know what the fuck the Niners are doing, because that offense, for a Shanahan offense that is supposed to feel easy, right? It's just supposed to be, three-step drops and quick motion reads and open guys. It just feels difficult. It feels stuck in the mud. I don't get this line. I think this line is idiocy on stilts. And I think a bunch of people are talking themselves into, whatever momentum, narrative, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I don't care about any of that shit. You know what I care about? Detroit's good. San Francisco's not. It's a 3-point spread. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm telling you here. This is just too obvious. The Niners are clearly shutting things down for the year. They just put Trent Williams on IR. Drake Greenlaw is not playing for the next 2 games. It's over for San Francisco, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more of their starters start to drop off the starting list here, or come out of the game halfway. Because
it wouldn't be surprised if Debo plays a limited amount of snaps or doesn't play. He doesn't look healthy. Obviously this offense doesn't have Brandon Ayuk. McCaffrey's out, Jordan Mason's out. The offense just looks difficult, and honestly, it feels like that defense is at a fucking mutiny stage at this point with the defender who refused to go back in the game on Thursday against the Rams. It's just not. It's not a good state of affairs there.
That was Devondre Campbell who exited the game halfway through. Yeah, the Niners are just clearly done. I don't know what this line is. 3.5 points simply doesn't make sense, because the Lions are one of the best teams in football, and San Francisco is at best mediocre to bad.
Okay, I'm going to do another pick just to get us back to equivalence. I am taking Dallas +7. I don't think they're going to play Hurts. And if I don't think they're going to play Hurts, Cooper Rush has proven to be competent. I get it's a road game. I don't really care. I get CeeDee Lamb isn't playing. This feels like rope-a-dope. It's annoyingly close. Pickett scores 24 points, but like realistically, you don't need this game.
Yeah,
You're functionally locked into the two. Like, you're functionally locked into the two. I don't think Hurts is going to play. I don't think they're going to, I don't think they're going to push Saquon to the limit, And
going to 13-3 really does nothing. They'll run the ball quite a bit.
Yeah. Saquon over probably.
But 7 is a hard number to cover. If you want to bet this game, I'd probably look at the over. I mean, 38.5 is pretty low, even with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, because it's not like either of these defenses are any like the Eagles defense is good, but I think they're going to be I just don't think they're going to
try.
Kind of. I think this is going to be a game where it's going to be a lot of defensive rotations, lower snap counts than usual for the big defensive guys. Cooper DeJean, CB1 for a little bit, see if he can cover whatever, right? Like, see what you got. I don't love the slate this week, but like 7 points for a Cowboys team that have covered against the Bengals, covered and won outright against the Bucs. Like, they beat Washington, admittedly with a kick return, but like they would have covered that game even without the return touchdown.
This is one of those games where
7's too high. It should be 5.5.
I just don't. I don't see them covering this line at all. But I'm not going to bet on the Cowboys to beat them. So it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to do it. So 2 games for both of us. You go.
I am going to take the Colts -7.5 against the New York Giants. The New York Giants. I don't really know what to say. I couldn't have expected a worse year for the New York Giants to this point.
Didn't you go all in on Minnesota in week 1 because you thought the Giants were like a top 3 worst team in football?
Yes. And that's how bad this year has gone for them, that even this is worse than my greatest expectations for them. They just lost 34-7 to the Falcons. I had to double check that.
Don't disrespect Michael Penix. Did you see the text message I sent you of the Falcons fan on TikTok who did an edit of Michael Penix going back to Washington?
Yes.
Funniest thing I've seen all. No, not the funniest thing I've seen all week. Every bit of the Chris Nolan Odyssey discourse is the funniest shit I've seen all week. Have you paid attention to this?
I have not.
So Chris Nolan is remaking the Odyssey. That's his next movie.
Okay, so this is
your opinion on this is very dependent on what you think of Chris Nolan. I don't really want to do the whole Nolan conversation right now.
Sure.
But so a bunch of people on Twitter were like, what the fuck's the Odyssey? Because they've never heard of the Odyssey. And then it became like, oh my God, Americans just assuming that that this is, just America-centric culture. Why would you expect Europeans to know about your little Odyssey?
Wait, what?
Yeah. I wish I was joking.
Homer's Odyssey.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it seems it's been fucking hilarious to watch the number of. There have even been Greek people on Twitter who I have seen be like, "Why would I know what the Odyssey is?
Oh,
I didn't go to an American school." No, brain damage. All of it is just brain damage inducing. So here's the case against the Colts. Richardson might not play. Do you really trust Joe Flacco as a 7.5 point road favorite?
That's a really good argument. If Richardson
this line should be 6.5, but nobody is betting on the Giants because everyone looks at the Giants and goes, well, they just fucking suck, so the line's 7.5. there's just a bunch of these favorites. Like Indianapolis is one of them. Cowboys are another of them. Jets are another one of them. Where I'm like, I just don't know. Like, I don't know what number you could make these. Some of these. Cleveland's another one where it's like, these all feel disgusting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I should probably bet one or two of these. Like, I'm considering betting the Jets. I think the Jets are like the worst team in football. Like, fuck the Jets.
They're it's an interesting
and like Buffalo probably isn't going to. Well, okay. I guess the question with the Jets game is: do we think the Bills are going to run like the good offense to get Josh Allen the MVP, or are they just going to run, like keep it simple, a billion rushes, and like a sort of short passing game and don't really risk anything?
Well, this is another situation where Buffalo is effectively locked into the 2 seed.
Exactly. So they like don't really care that much.
Yeah. So you're right. The line could go either way on this. But in the Colts case, I really do think that the Giants are that hapless.
I mean, I can't make a case about the Giants, right? I can't make the case for the Giants. I can only make a case against the Colts.
Exactly, and that's the difficulty with these lines, and that's why Vegas always wins. They know how to price these things really, really well.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you on that just because, like last week, I picked a bet on Carolina. Just sort of same logic of, this feels like a greasy line, and I don't know, this like middle team has sort of like done enough to be favored by that much, and I tend to like home dogs, but Carolina won outright, but I don't think Drew Lock is going to be winning us that game. Atlanta +4. Trap game for the Commanders. They pretty much clinched their spot last week. They just have to beat the Cowboys next week to confirm that, I believe. Frankly, Penix looked pretty damn good. The box score, I watched like the highlight package. I watched like most of his offensive plays. The box score is honestly a little like underwhelming compared to his real performance. He would have had a touchdown if Kyle Pitts didn't like catch the ball and then just kind of like chuck it and it got caught by a Giant. Like, yes, it's the Giants, but he looked good. He looked better than a Falcons fan could have expected. I'm optimistic. 4 points, prime time. The Falcons do have great weapons. Jesse Bates is really good. That Commanders defense is still, is still, less trustworthy than the condom you buy at a bathroom dispenser in a dive bar, right? Like 4 points seems like too many.
Atlanta does still control their own destiny a bit here, even if they take.
If Atlanta wins the next 2 games, they win the NFC South.
So this is it's a big game, and the Washington just came off a very good win in Philly. Obviously, Jaden Daniels had an excellent game. I'd like to see something from Washington's defense somewhere along the line, and it just hasn't happened. I don't think I'm tailing you on the Falcons here, but I completely understand the pick. Jaden Daniels is very good, so that is something to consider.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think Penix is also very good. So that is less concerning as a proposition for me. Like I think Penix is good, man. He's good in college. I think, again, older rookie, probably, again, you could have questions about whether or not, you could have questions about the utility of drafting older quarterbacks, all of that shit, right? That's all true. That's all fair. That's all like perfectly reasonable. But in terms of play, like week 1 or, start 2 playability, I think he's going to be a hell of a lot closer than Drake May was in week 2, right? Or Caleb was in week 2. Make your final pick.
I am going to take. This one's really hard, but I'm going to take Tampa Bay at home, giving up 8 points. This is another one of those games where the line really feels tough.
Like I think flat out, I think you're an idiot. This line's inflated by 2.5 points by like need to win.
That's definitely the Bucks. Also, somewhat they don't control their own destiny.
They need Washington to win,
and Baker has.
They need to win out, and then they need Washington, and then they need Washington to beat, or they need Atlanta to lose one of the two, and it's far more likely Atlanta loses to Washington than they do to lose to, I think it's Carolina next week for them.
Yeah, so this is it for Tampa.
I think they win the game, but I think 8 points is 2 points too many.
8 points is a lot. It's tough to do. But
We just saw the game in Carolina. It went to overtime.
And they just beat the Cardinals. I can see it. I still think Tampa Bay can pull it off. Mike Evans has looked really good down the stretch. Their offense has looked good down the stretch. I think that they'll win by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, you are allowed to be wrong. Chargers by 4. Charger. Look, I think the Patriots had one sort of like backs against the wall, sort of fuck it, we ride game left in them. That was last week. If we want to talk about teams who quote unquote need it, I think the Chargers are absolutely high on that list. They would very much like to be the 6, because the 6 gets you out of Buffalo. Not that Baltimore is not that I think they're going to beat Baltimore if they play Baltimore, which is overwhelmingly likely to be in the 3, but we are where we are. Is it impossible that they could get to the 5?
Let's take a look here.
I'm pulling up the playoff machine now. It's fine. But the Chargers need this. I think the Pats had their one opportunity. Who does Pittsburgh play in Week 18? That was a good question. Scrimmy to the Shaw. Oh, Bengals. Yeah, they could even get up to the 5. And frankly, I would take Chargers
over the Raiders.
I would 1,000% take Chargers. I would 1,000% take the Chargers over the Texans in a 4-5. Are you fucking kidding me? Of course I would. The Texans are terrible. Can we take 2 seconds? The Texans fucking suck.
Yes, CJ Stroud is the most fraudulent quarterback I've seen in a very long time.
It's not good. It's not good. Chargers need it. I don't like using needed as an excuse. I think Herbert's good. I think Herbert's really good. And that's kind of my I've bet them a lot this year. I haven't won everything, won a decent amount. But my fundamental belief is Herbert is good. And Herbert is a class above that sort of Tua, Purdy sort of game man. I think he's a genuine in the top 10, in the high, in the top 8 or whatever. I think he's that kind of quarterback. Thanks for coming on. Green Bay, Denver, Detroit, Atlanta, Dallas, and the Chargers for me. Tampa Bay, Indianapolis, Detroit, Rams, Denver, and Tennessee for you. Nathaniel Arfin, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Scripted.substack.com for political writing. This YouTube channel, like and subscribe. I'll gonna try and do stuff. I don't know. Working on a thing. We will be back early next week. Nathaniel Arfin and I are about to. Arfin, you are staying. You are gonna educate me on baseball. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me.